Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylin, and today I wanted to make a video talking about 10 tips of things that we do that help us to save money whenever we are low on money or we're trying to really budget, and things that we kind of just implement in our day-to-day lives to just keep our finances in order. And also just a quick rant about universal credit. We're on universal credit, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. Anybody who lives outside the UK, it's like a system that's sort of designed to support, well, allegedly support families and people who are on low incomes, and to kind of top up like what they need so they can pay their bills and everything. And we have had a kind of a rough time with it since moving on to universal credit, because they seem to just decide on a whim to send you an overpayment notice and claim the money back. And they will literally look at calculations from a year ago just randomly and decide they overpaid you and that you owe the money back. And it's stressful and frustrating because you never know when it's going to come. And there was a point where they were getting my partner, before I even knew him, to repay him a significant amount of money. And then it came out, only because we queried it, that 2 years later or something, that he never owed the money in the first place, and they were taking a huge amount out of his wages every month. So today we got another wonderful notice saying that we owe £200 for an overpayment they randomly calculated from last year. So that wasn't really a nice surprise, but I've kind of come to expect it from them. But yeah, I think that has just reinforced to me how much we need to rein things in with our finances. So I thought I would share some ideas with you of things that we do that really help us. So number one is to do online grocery shopping. And the reason I say this is because we used to go to Lidl, however you say it, all the time, and I loved it and I found it very cheap. And I was talking about this with my mum yesterday, and she was saying she finds it's the same as everywhere else now. It's not any cheaper. And I was noticing that our bill, at one point it was £60 a week for food, and then by the end it was about 120. It was it had doubled basically. And I decided that I hated that feeling of getting to the till and realizing I have no idea how much this is, and kind of being unpleasantly surprised by the grand total. And I decided that I wanted to have more control over how much our weekly shop would be. So I started to order our groceries online instead, because at least then you know the total before it arrives and there's no surprises. You're not tempted to add extra things while you're looking around, because I think I am a visual person and that displays and things like that appeal to me. And then if I see ideas when I'm out, I will grab those things even though they weren't planned into our menu for the week. So, and I kind of found too that when I was shopping in person, I was quite often getting more food than we needed, and it was kind of this food hoarding mentality, almost like I was preparing for an emergency all the time. But now that I'm ordering online, we're ordering just what we need, and I know how much it's going to be before it arrives, and it just gives me more of a feeling of control over our finances in that respect. But yeah, avoiding the temptation of just looking at extra things is the main thing for me, and I tend to type into the search bar what specific items that I'm buying rather than going through lists of offers and things like that, because then I don't get extra stuff I hadn't planned to get. Number two is to avoid going for top-up shops as much as you can, because I find that these can be really dangerous. Those shops throughout the week where you call into just a small shop that's probably overpriced compared to the larger ones, or I'll call into the petrol station and get a few things. Those shops, I think, can kind of destroy your finances single-handedly, because you will go in for one item and then you will see other things or think of other things while you're there, and the next thing you know, you spent 40 quid and it was supposed to be £1. And I used to, if I ever did those shops years ago, it would be about £10 in total. But now anytime that I call into the shop, it seems to be about £40, and I don't know how that's possible. But I just think if you can work with what you've got at home and do whatever you possibly can to avoid having to call in, it just eliminates the possibility of kind of creating this big dent in your finances. So I am working on avoiding top-up shops and just planning ahead better and trying not to forget anything for our weekly shop. Number 3 is getting other people to talk you out of things, because I think people that are outside of you, they're more able to see things like objectively and to know if you genuinely need something, if something is worth buying or not. And it can just help to have like another voice and another opinion to help you make the decision. For example, this week I randomly got tempted to buy this waistcoat that I saw in a shop, and I kind of convinced myself that I wanted it, and I thought I can wear it, of all the outfits I could wear it with, but then I didn't buy it at the time. I went back to the shop and looked at it again with my partner, and he was like, I can't picture you wearing that. And then I realised when I was there too that I had kind of romanticised it in my head, and I actually in person didn't like it as much as I did in my head. And having him say that to me, it almost like gave me permission to not buy it, which sounds silly, but sometimes that's what you need. It's like confirmation from someone else that no, like you shouldn't buy that, and don't justify it to yourself. And I just think it really helps. Even having my kids do that, sometimes it's helpful. Just anyone that you know that knows you well and knows what you like they will know right away if something is worth buying or not, and if you really need it. Number 4 is leaving your phone and card behind if you can. And I know this isn't always possible to do because you might need it for other reasons, but if you're just calling out to get one thing, for example, that you need, you can bring roughly the exact amount in cash. You don't need to bring your card or phone, and then you don't have the option to buy any more than you went in for, because you just don't have it, and it just simplifies things in that way. Number 5 is to make full use of memberships that you have. And I try to do this as much as possible with my swimming membership. For example, we will go several times a week. There's a spa there which we use, and it's included in the membership. And even if you just think of things like when you go to the gym or the pool, you can have a shower there, and that is also saving you money on doing it at home. And it's like something time consuming where you're immersed in what you're doing and you come out feeling so good. And memberships like that, like it could be a membership for anything. Like we've had so many different memberships over the years, and when we've used them to death. And like I think it's just important to get the full value out of them. And then it just takes, sorry, he's got a new toy, by the way. It's Potato's birthday. He's 1 today, so he's playing with me at the same time. Memberships can be so much cheaper if you are paying a monthly fee and then using it as much as possible, instead of paying here and there for lots of different activities. Number 6 is to walk as much as possible, whether it is what places that are walkable you would usually drive to, or just walking as an extra activity too, because it is something that always grounds me. Having a dog really helps me to stick to it and be disciplined about going for walks every day. Because it's something that I find I need for my mental health, but whenever I didn't have a dog, I was more able to talk myself out of it. And walking doesn't cost anything. Like you can walk and walk for as long as you want, and it's not going to cost you any money, and you will only return home feeling better than when you left. Number 7 is learning to make your favourite things at home. For me, this has really been coffee, because I love lattes and I love going to a cafe, and it's just very tempting for me, and I would happily go like every single day, maybe more than once if I could. I need to get back into being as disciplined about making it myself all the time as I was during my no-buy, because I feel like that has slipped up a little bit, although I do love going to a cafe and writing. And I just find it saves you so much money, and I struggle now to find a cup of coffee in a cafe that I like as much as my own, because I feel like I've just worked so much on getting it the exact way that I like that it's hard to kind of find something that lives up to it elsewhere. And I went to Starbucks last week and I had a really disappointing cup of coffee. They forgot to put my syrup in, and then I realised, and I did get it added, but they hadn't frothed the milk properly, and it was a latte, but it was just like, it basically was like milky coffee, and I just felt like disappointed that it had cost like £4 and it was way worse than what I make at home. So that's always a good reminder, and it can apply to anything. Like I think you can make so many things at home and they might seem kind of daunting before you do them, but actually once you get started, it's so easy. Like I love making my own sushi, and I like making my own kind of like fakeaways. I love making Chinese food at home. We've got a deep fryer, so I can make chips that taste like they're from a restaurant, and just like finding like ways to do things cheaply at home instead. It's really satisfying, and when you get it to a level where you think this is as good as a restaurant, it's just really rewarding. Number 8 is to have inspirational people to look up to, and these don't have to be like people in your immediate kind of friendship circle. Like, you don't have to kind of have the criteria that you're only friends with people who have a frugal mindset, but you can have people that you look up to even on social media, or like a YouTuber that you like to watch, and they get you in a frugal mindset and make you feel re-inspired to kind of recommit to it and find ways to make it a really pleasant way to live. And I love having people like that they just celebrate the small things in life, and they make you realize like the benefits of living frugally, and it just helps you to reframe it in your mind so you don't think of it as deprivation. And I don't know if I know that many people like that I'm very close to that are really into frugality, but at least not consciously. But like, even I've talked about in my book before, my mum's friend, who I would see only kind of sporadically, but her way of living is so inspiring, and she lives frugally and is always very creative and makes the most of everything she has. And seeing her and the way that she makes her life so beautiful just in simple ways, it makes me want to do the same in mine. So I think it's important to have people that you can look up to, and it doesn't have to be the people that are around you in real life. You can find those people online too. Number 9 is opting for smaller events rather than the obvious ones. And sometimes the obvious events are the most overpriced, and they are the most like highly advertised, and they have the money to put into that. And if you take the time to look around, you can find things that are like basically the same thing but just much cheaper and kind of hidden away. And I've done that over the years with things like, I absolutely refuse to go to the pumpkin patch near our house because I think it's really overpriced and it's so busy that it's not even enjoyable. So I found a farm that's kind of further away from where we live, and we go to one there that it's cheaper than the one near our house, and I love the experience and I love the way they do everything because it's so creative, and it's actually better to me than the expensive one. And I'm always looking out for community events that are cheap or free, and I think if you just take the time to do like research online, you can find so many things that they're just better than the kind of touristy, obvious experiences. And finally, number 10 is to physically copy out your bank statements. Like, I like to do this whenever I'm trying to kind of regain control of my finances. I will sit down and go through my bank statement, but instead of just kind of like glancing at it, I will actually write out every transaction and put them in categories and add up each category, and then it helps you to get really clear on where your money's actually going, where you can cut your spending, and just how to get control of your spending back again. And it's really eye-opening, and I like to do that regularly to kind of check in with myself and our finances. I hope that these ideas are helpful to someone, and thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. And sorry about the grunting in the background, but Potato is very playful and he's having a happy birthday, and we have a woofin for him for later, which is a dog muffin, so I'm excited about giving him that. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. I will see you soon. Bye.